Welcome back to Genesis Sais Quoi. You know, we talk a lot on this podcast about the moment you decide to stop sitting on the fence and finally choose to live a life you actually want to live. Today's guest is the living embodiment of that choice. Karen Enamorado is the co-owner and heart behind No Limits Fitness, a veteran-operated, Latinx-owned powerhouse that is redefining what a gym can be. But Karen's story isn't just about sets and reps. It's about the internal glow-up that happens when you decide that your boundaries, your peace, and your health are a non-negotiable. She is a mother, a Jiu Jitsu wife, and a leader who has built a life centered on the belief that strength is earned, not given. I am so excited to have her here to share how she changed her own life by building a space for others to change theirs. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Okay, sorry.
Karen.
Let me get started.
Thank you for being here. You're incredible.
You're sweet. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
Thank you.
For someone who has never stepped foot into No Limits Fitness, which, get on it if you haven't, how would you describe the vibe compared to those big box corporate gyms?
Yeah. So I would say it's definitely very different. One of the things that I always hear, but I also feel, I remember the first day when I walked in after everything was all, put together and we walked in for our first workout. You walk in and there's a little table to the side. And the first thing that I personally do and have seen many people do is they set their keys on their phones right there.
Oh my God, I've done it.
And
I don't know if this is where this is going, but I've done this.
I'm telling you. And so to me, like, just that right there is just a reminder that it feels like home.
Oh.
You know?
I didn't even clock that.
Because for me, even when I walk into my own home, the first thing I do is I put my keys down, or I hang my keys, or I put my phone down, and I step in. And I remember doing that the first time, and I remember thinking, man, this really feels like home. It feels like I'm walking into my home garage gym. And I thought, this is exactly what I want people to feel when they walk into this place. And I never, said that to anyone. And I began to see, like, when people started walking in, for their workouts, like our first members and all of that, that was the first thing that, many of them would do. And so it was just so cool to see that people felt so comfortable to just walk into a place and just set their wallet down, set their phone down, set their keys, which are very personal things.
Yes, their whole life is on the phone.
Knowing that they're, walking into a space and just feeling okay with doing that. I think that says a lot, But I would describe it as, it is a small place, but I think that it is also a place where people feel at home. And I think that has always been our hope. Like, we wanted people to walk into this space and feel like they were at home. Many times when you walk into, a big gym, if it's your first time and you've never walked into a gym, you feel intimidated.
Yeah.
You look around and you're like, oh my gosh, there's all these people that I don't know and all these machines and I don't know how to work them. Or even if you do know how to work them, you might still feel a little intimidated.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things that another one of the things that I also hear from our members say, it's so nice to walk into this space and I don't feel intimidated. It's small enough to where I feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, that I would say people feel when they walk in. Obviously with the, classes that we offer, it's a little bit differently, right? It's a little different, because you are walking into a group setting, but you're also walking into a small group, into a more intimate, setting. Our group classes are small enough to where everybody knows everybody, but also, we have about 8 to 10 people that are working out at the same time while we're running the classes. But it also feels like a small community, right? And I think that's, I don't know, I think that's how I would describe it. It's a small gym, small community, but at the same time, you have everything you need to get a really good workout.
Yes.
You know, whether it's with machines, with dumbbells, doesn't matter where you are. I think that you can find what you need to get a pretty good workout. So,
I totally agree. And I feel like because I've seen it. I've been a part of some of your classes and I love them because even as somebody who, when y'all have that, you know, when you have an intimate setting and somebody could feel like, hey, I'm coming in new, everyone could already be really tight knit. But like, even though everyone's so close already because it is like kind of like a developing a family, everyone is always so kind and you do such a great job of welcoming everyone that there's never an outsider. It's like that instant day one, we all know each other, we're all in this together, and it's such a great vibe that you offer.
I love that you felt that.
Yes,
because I think
it's a gift.
That is definitely, you know, something that's what we wanted this to be. Because I think the moment you do that, the energy shifts. And I don't want anybody to come into this place and feel left out.
When you guys really do an excellent job of that. It's one of the many reasons you're the heart behind it.
Oh, gosh.
Because that's your intention and your goal, and you do it.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're sweet.
Oh my God, it's just the start, baby. So every journey starts with a why. What is the specific moment you decided to ditch the fear and transition from thinking about it to actually opening your own facility?
You know, I think a seed was planted in my heart a very long time ago. As a kid, my mom was a business owner. And I kind of, you know, I lived that, right? And I think seeing her and what she did and still manage motherhood, obviously, when I was little, I didn't see it that way. But now, you know, as a grown-up, having my own kids, having my own family, I think the biggest thing for me and the most important thing for me has been my family. And how do I balance it all?
When you figure it out, will you let me know?
How do you balance it all? It's a lot. And especially like as a working mom, like how do you balance everything, right? And how do you do it all and not lose your mind? And so I think for me, like seeing my mom all the time, her being with me, her being present, but at the same time being a business owner, planted a little seed in me. And I think as a child, like I always told myself that when I had my own kids, I wanted to be in a place where family came first, and I had the time to be there for and with my family when they needed me. And, you know, obviously as an adult, I've had many jobs and, you know, my career and, you know, all of that. And in the midst of all of it, I've always been once I start something and once I do something and I commit to it, like I'm committed and I'm gonna be my best and I'm gonna put my heart 100%. For me, it was like, man, if I can give this much, I'm giving 1,000%, you know, to this career. If I can give this much to this, I can do the same thing for my own thing.
Ooh.
And even more, right? But at the same time, like, I wasn't sure what my own thing was. And I had all these thoughts in my head, and my husband will tell you, I have gone to him so many times with like so many business ideas. He probably thought I was losing my mind. And every time he would ask me the questions of, okay, well, you know, okay, so think about this. Like, where is this going? Like, what is the purpose? Like, what, you know, and see what he would like get my mind
Great
going.
questions, yeah.
And there was never really anything that I could say, okay, this is like, there were great ideas, but I just kept thinking, okay, like, am I really like 100%, you know, behind this? Like, what will this look like? How is this going to work and mix, you know, with everything else, with family, kids, and, you know, being a wife and life, right? And I knew that fitness was also part of my passion, but I never really saw it as something that I would do, you know, full time. It was more of something that I was doing for myself, and it was something that my husband and I both enjoyed. Even, you know, back in the days when we were just dating, like that was our thing. We would always work out together. But, you know, that's where that's where it started, I think, you know, where there was a seed planted a long time ago. But again, me reminding myself, I can't be the one doing it and I can't do it all and I need to be okay with it. I ended up just, dropping in and saying, no, Karen, like, stay focused. This is not what you're doing right now. Stay focused in the programs that you currently have. And fitness isn't it, And I left it alone. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what's next for me? Stayed home for a little bit with my kiddos. But there was still something in my heart stirring that said, no, there's more. And I knew that a business was something that was part of my purpose. But I also didn't want it to be something that was just a moneymaker. I wanted it to be something, I didn't want something that was just going to be created, just like I said, just to make money. I wanted it to be something that was, that had a purpose behind it, that was going to be impactful, and that was at the same time something where I could use my gifts. It hit me, and I thought, well, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be going, And I started thinking about the idea of adaptive fitness and what could that look like, and shared it with my husband. Once again, another business idea, and he was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And so we began to talk about it a little bit more, and obviously we knew that, adaptive fitness was something for me. Like, I knew that it was something that was needed, because oftentimes our friends with disabilities don't get, and I might get a little choked up, I'm sorry, but they don't get the same opportunities that other people get, And so for me, that was big. The thought of creating a place where our special needs community can feel accepted and can feel where they can come in and move their bodies and belong and be a part of a community, that was huge for me. And so anyway, we had the conversation, and he was like, okay, but what else are we going to do? He's always, if you don't know G, he has questions, okay? And he will challenge you. And that's one thing I love about him. He challenges me. And I think, man, if your partner doesn't challenge you in the way that is going to push you to become a better person, I don't know what to tell you, and he is that. Like, he is that person for me. He's the one that will make me think and will ask questions and be like, okay, well, but what else? Like, we can't just do adaptive fitness, like, because that's not sustainable, right? Like, what else are we going to do? And so I think that's where the idea kind of began to, grow a little bit more. And we began to think about, well, what else can we do? And then we started thinking about, fitness for kids, which we are both very huge on. We want them to move their bodies. We want them to be active. And I think that it's important for kids to be introduced to physical movement at a very young age. I think that we live in a world where fitness becomes a thing once we become adults. And it's more of
so true.
It's more about the aesthetics, and it's more about how we look, and it's more about, those things than the root of why fitness is important. You have kids, and teaching
we're so
them,
thankful for those classes, by the way.
It's important for them to learn from a very young age that fitness is important, because it's about your health. It's about what it does to your body. It's about what it does, and not just, like how your body looks, but mentally. I think it helps as well, right?
I agree. I was going to say, as a parent to a child with ADHD, I see such a difference in him on like the workout days and like the days like that we do that compared to the days we don't. I know that there's a difference there, if nothing else, for him to get that, that burn that he needs emotionally and mentally as well. They
need a place. I think we forget sometimes as parents that our kids also need a place where they can just release the energy that they have. I mean, think about it. They're out of school, sitting down for 8 hours a day. They're lucky if they get maybe 15 minutes of activity in, PE.
Yeah.
Because right now, like, part of their active time is walking from the classroom to recess. Like, that is part of their physical activity.
I never even thought about that. That is so true. And like, what a jip.
And what is that? That doesn't really do a whole lot, you know?
So seeing that, knowing that, working with people with special needs, working with kids, knowing you wanted to offer this like 24-hour service for people who wanted to work out individually or wanted to do group classes, did all of that come together at once? Or was this like we're going to build up this plan as we open and just kind of see what we need?
Mm-hmm. I think it was a mixture of both. We talked about things that we knew we could, build up on, or things that we could start and obviously, slowly build up. But I think we always have stayed very open to saying, okay, well, what is the need? What does our community need? And we constantly ask ourselves that question, because while we do want it to be structured, at the same time, we want to hear and we want to be aware of what the needs of the community, what the needs are. Where the idea of the 24/7 came about too, because we were like, well, how can we still provide, times where people that can't come in, from this time to this time, but still be able to work out.
Yeah, well, some crazy person wants to get up on Thanksgiving morning and go to the gym, and like there's no open.
Absolutely.
But you all can get in. You guys can get. We won't be here probably because we got family and stuff to do. But like they can.
Mm-hmm. And we have people that come at 1 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night.
You do what you gotta do, or sometimes
yeah.
people just function differently that way.
And I think that was a big part of it. Like we just wanted to make it accessible to everyone because everyone has a different lifestyle. We don't all have the same lifestyle. We don't all have the same schedules.
Yeah, because if you want to, you can take a class also.
Right.
Like, and come get your butt kicked by Coach K and Coach G. If that's what you and there's you offer so many options. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really cool how much access you offer to the community in so many different ways that fits their family, their life, or their own schedules. And I think that's gorgeous. So cool.
Thank you.
You and your husband, G, run this as a team. How do you balance being a jiu-jitsu wife and mom while co-leading a 24/7 fitness empire?
Well, I mean, gosh, empire. That's a big word.
It's the right word.
I would say, we really look at it and run it together as a team. It's kind of like parenting, I feel like, right?
Like, this is your baby, so that makes sense.
Yes, you're right. We really run it as a team. I think, like I said, it's kind of like parenting. Some days, one gives 80%, the other one gives 20.
That's so true.
and other days, it's the opposite, right? And we really do run it that way. He's crazy busy. He's actually in school right now, also working on his PhD, because we just needed one more thing.
I was going to say, you're not busy enough.
And so, obviously he's carrying some things, I'm carrying some things, but we really truly look at it. We work on it as a team. But, he may have to be the one kind of handling things at home while he's doing his class and the kids are home, and balancing, feeding the kids and
parenthood.
Okay, class is over. Now it's time to go shower the kids and, get them ready for bed. And I'm at the gym, teaching my classes and doing my thing. And then I come home and it's like, okay, time to switch. Now it's time for him to get his workout done. And I'm talking about it's like 8 o'clock, 8:30. And so he'll go and do his workout. And I'm taking over bedtime. And so I think really having the right, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Right. It is not. I think balance is never perfect. I mean, you're always figuring it out. Some days it works smoothly, and other days you're like, oh shoot, like he's not going to be home until this time, and so now we have to shift gears.
Yeah.
And being flexible. I think flexibility is the biggest thing. Communication. It's another big thing, and just really knowing and being okay with the fact that one day one is going to carry a higher, or a heavier load than the other, and other days is going to be the complete opposite. Yeah. But just being aware of that and knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. But I think creating systems, having that communication and knowing where the other one is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Too, I think is super important, because there are days where I'm just like, man, I don't know if I can do this today, you know?
That's real.
And so he may come in and be like, hey, you go do this and I'll do this, right? And we're going to make it work, and it's going to be fine, and it's going to work. And it does. It's not about who's doing more on what day. It's more about we both have the same goal. How are we going to get there, and how are we going to work together so that everything is taken care of? Because I can't be in all places.
No, yeah.
You know, and neither can he.
We're
and
only human.
I know. And I think that's something that has been very, it's something that I've had to learn, you know. And it was very hard for me to learn, because as a mom, you sometimes feel like you have to do it all. Mm-hmm. And you get to a point to where you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm burning myself to the ground. No, I can't do it all. And it's okay, you know, to create systems and, create your village and figure out what works for your family to make it all work smoothly, so that everyone is good, taken care of, and happy. But at the same time, you're not losing your mind as a mom, you know,
yes,
because you're important too.
Yes.
And if you're not functioning, nothing else is going to function the way it should.
Yeah.
So
I have a side question. It's not even in my notes, but do you guys still find time to like work out together sometimes and stuff? Or is it kind of like not the season right now? Is the focus more on making everything function, and like the season will come back?
Yes.
Like where are you at, you think?
So it's funny you asked that, because that used to be a big part of, you know, of what we did as a couple. And once we had kids, it kind of changed. You know, some days he would stay home while I went to the gym, and some days we brought both all the kids with us, and they went to the little daycare, and then, you know, we worked out. But it was also very difficult, because obviously you have kids on schedules, and, you know, kids have to be fed, especially if they're little.
Yeah.
And
kids
so
always need to be fed.
And so it became very difficult, and so that slowly kind of began to change. Then we built our garage gym, and we tried that, but then obviously kids always need mommy, and they're like, you know, climbing on me and asking for things, and then I get pulled away, and I was like, I can't do this. So it like slowly, you know, started to look different, and I think that's one of the things that I at one point missed the most about us, that we weren't able to do that, and I struggled with it a little bit. But then I think I came to the realization that it was a season, and that in this season things look different, and they didn't have to look the way they did before kids.
Right.
You know, it was a hard realization, because I think I always try to still make it work. But I think now I've gotten to a place to where I'm like, it doesn't have to look the way it looked before. We're in a different season, and it's okay. And so now, funny thing is, I have actually and I tried it a while back. I tried it back in July, and he's always wanted me to get into it. And I just couldn't get myself there, because it involved sweaty man, you know, like just you like rolling with someone.
What are we talking about?
Jiu Jitsu. Oh. Sorry. It involved, Jiu Jitsu. I thought I said it.
No.
You know, he's always wanting me to get into Jiu Jitsu. And for me, it was like, I just can't, like the sweat and, you know, like.
Because that's a big passion for your family.
Yes, it's a big passion. I had tried one of the hardest classes. And so...
Look at you. We're like, I'm going all in.
That alone will scare you away, right? We're not doing the same days, but there are days when we're like, hey, let's go on this day. Even though when I go on Mondays or Wednesdays, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. I really want this to be something that we do together. Like, it would be so cool if the whole family was doing it, right? Is that peer pressure? He's really good about that.
Positive peer pressure.
So anyways, I decided to try it out, and I've been slowly, you know, doing the classes. But I think for us, like, that's one of the things that right now we're finding is that one thing, you know, that while we cannot always work out together, we do sometimes.
Right.
But what is something that we can do where we know we can still, at the end of the day, we can still come back to it and know that, hey, this is something that we're doing together and we're enjoying it.
So do you feel like that is a part of maybe some of your you time and balance? I know you said like you sometimes feel like you got hit by a truck, which is totally reasonable in something hard like that. But do you also feel like mentally you're walking out of going, okay, that was a me time? Because I can't imagine, like, with all of the things you do, you know, taking time for yourself is so important. Yeah. Do you feel like that's hard to do? Do you feel any mom guilt when you do that?
I think mom guilt, it never goes away.
No.
Right? Oh, gosh. I wish it would go away for all moms. Because it can eat you up if you allow it to, right? I think with time, I've learned to just shut those thoughts and those, voices in my head.
Oh, that's so good.
That sometimes push you to feel guilty, But does it happen? Yes, absolutely. It happens sometimes. I'm there sometimes thinking, oh gosh, like, have they eaten? Have they gone to bed? Have they, I had to set that boundary for myself to say, you know what, like, this is going to be my me time, and this is something that I am doing for myself, and it's something that's completely different than what I'm used to and out of my, comfort zone. And this is going to have to be my space, and it's okay to say, you feel selfish almost, but it's okay to say, you know what, they need to be at home. And so learning to be okay with getting the help that you need, whatever that looks like. I mean, I think it looks different for all moms, right? But really looking at your options and seeing, okay, what can I do so that I can make this about me and my me time and respect this space. Because if you don't, I think it's very easy to get caught up in the mom guilt. And then within that, I think resentment grows. And oh my gosh, if there's guilt, but resentment is a whole nother level and a whole nother thing. And if you allow those things to come together, it can be very, very powerful in a negative way, right?
Right.
And so
you want to be your best self,
right,
for yourself, for your family.
Yeah. And if you can't be your best self, I always say you can't pour from an empty cup. Although I tried for years, I as a mom, you try to like keep moving, and you're like, okay, I just have to stay focused. And you kind of leave yourself as the last thing. But then I quickly learned, if I keep doing that, I'm going to keep digging myself a bigger hole.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be good for anybody.
Got nothing to give.
Right. You're left with nothing.
I don't think that's selfish at all. And I hate that the world can maybe say, like, girl, you're being... No. No, I want to be the best me I can be for the people I love. Yeah. So I think it's amazing that you've taken time to say, hey, I deserve this space, and I deserve this peace, On that same note, what do you hope your children are learning about loving their life by watching you build this community from the ground up? Like, what are you hoping your kids are seeing and taking away from what you and your husband are building? And what are you hoping they're seeing from you taking the time for you? Because even if they don't see it now, one day your daughters will look at you and go, I saw you take time for you in a world that told you you shouldn't. Girl. I
want our kids to know that you can work hard but still find joy in it. And I think it's important to have the two. Kids learn not from what we tell them they should do, not from what they listen, but from what they see.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things that I want them to learn from this, right? Like, I want them to learn work ethic. I want them to learn that it is possible to be passionate about something, work hard, and still have fun and find joy in what you're doing.
Girl, yes. If we could let's bottle that.
Right? And I think that if you don't enjoy what you are doing, then you kind of miss the point. Again, I want them to know that you can have both. I think with that too, though, I want them to be aware that life is not all about you. So yes, you want to have a purpose and, find joy and, all of these things. But I think at the end of the day, like, I want them to also watch us build a community and care for other people. And so teaching them that there is more to life than just yourself. And how can you be an impact to someone else. I think that's important too.
Ooh, girl. Tall order.
Yeah.
If anyone can do it, you guys can. Your classes have such personality. How does humor and sass help your members push through the hardest parts of their fitness journey? Just as an example of one of the classes I have attended that I've been so lucky to attend was the red, white, and glutes. I love all y'all's cute names, and I mean, it's really fun, and it was that.
My husband wanted to call it, what was it? Red, white. Wait, what did you say?
Red, white, and glutes.
Yes. Okay. So he wanted to call it red, white, and booty. And I was like, no.
You're like, both are right.
I'm like, it's right, but we got to find a better name. And we laughed about it. And so then, we went with red, white, and glutes.
Do you just feel like if we're not laughing, we're crying, and so we got to keep going?
I think, man, working out is not easy sometimes, right? Like, I think your mind, you can really get stuck in a mindset sometimes. And sometimes pushing harder is not as easy. It doesn't come easy sometimes. And I think that adding a little bit of personality, a little bit of laughter, a little bit of sass.
And the bangers y'all play. Play some good music. Y'all play some good music.
We try. It kind of gets your mind off of I'm working my butt off right now and I'm struggling. But if you're laughing and you're making it fun, it makes it a little bit more bearable. I think, it's for those people that maybe struggle with, getting themselves there, right? Or getting through that one set that, man, like this one's really kicking my butt, but I got to get through it. And I think your mind is very powerful and your mind will play tricks on you. And so I think just, kind of helping with that a little bit and helping people shift their mindset and focus on, I got to get through this one. I got to do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Is really what our biggest thing is,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you do it. And it is fun. It is fun to be there in the way you guys do everything. I mean, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but like, some of these classes at the end, we're like passing champagne while we do planks. Like it's...
That was my idea.
I can always edit that out if you don't want that on there. But it's just, the point is like, you work hard, you play hard, and you really are a family. And I feel that. So it's really cool.
I think just finding ways to, incorporate joy and laughter in the struggle.
I feel that. What is one limitation you used to believe about yourself that you've officially proven wrong through the process of running the gym?
I would say, there are so many gyms out there. There are so many businesses out there. And honestly, with all of the ideas that came to mind, all the business ideas that came to mind, I always thought to myself, oh, but somebody's already doing it. Why would people come to me when somebody is already doing it out there?
Gosh, that's a trap.
That is a big trap. And again, it's a mindset shift. And I think I got to a place where I made that shift and I was like, yeah, you know what? There are many trainers out there. There are many gyms out there. But what is it about me? What is it about us? What is it about this space that we are creating or that we want at that moment, in that moment, right? That we want to create that is going to set us apart. Because yes, many people can be doing it, but not everybody's going to do it like you.
No.
And I think that's something that I want people to take with them in whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that, they might be wanting to do. That can be a big trap. Like you can think, man, like why are they going to come to me? And I think that we are our biggest critics, our own, right? And I think that's something that can really hold you back from pursuing your wildest and biggest dream. And I think that for us, like that's also where the name kind of came from, which we can go into that a little later.
Yeah.
But
tell
you
us.
can hold yourself back, so much, and you can keep yourself from becoming everything that you're supposed to become, and really living in your purpose. When you hold on to those thoughts and hold on to those feelings and tell yourself that you can't, But your mind is one of the strongest things, and your mind will convince you of anything you allow it to convince you. But yes, like for me, that's, remember we were thinking about, we were talking about, okay, well, what are we going to name it? And what name do we want? And we bounced, different ideas back and forth. And I remember I was driving one day. That's when I do most of my thinking, when the kids aren't with me and I'm driving. I think most moms do, right? And I remember thinking, limits, in that moment. And I thought, man, but what about it,
Yeah.
And I think the more I thought about it, the more it became clear that no limits needed to be the name. One, your mind will tell you things, and you will sometimes believe those lies, and that is the worst thing that anyone can do to themselves. But also, life will put you in places where you think you can't get out of those places. And it's not until you tell yourself, okay, this is where I'm at. I can either choose to live in this and stay in this and play victim, right? Or I can pull myself out of it and believe that this is a limitation that I'm living in right now, but how can I move past this?
Girl. Yes.
And I mean, I think all of us have had bumps on the road in our lives. Yeah. It looks different for everyone. And I think because of those bumps that I've had on the road in my personal life, especially in my 20s.
Those 20s.
Those 20s. Oh, man, those 20s. I've learned that it's a bump. You don't have to stay there. And once you get past that bump, you can see past that. And you don't have to stay stuck in that moment. You don't have to stay stuck in the lies that your mind will tell you sometimes. You got to push past those limits. Something that I always tell the kids, and it makes me smile because I really want to instill this in them. The kids will sometimes tell me, I can't do this. Like, I remember one of the things that some of the kids couldn't do was box jumps. And they were like, oh, I can't do this. And I'm like, oh, really? You can't? Okay, cool. Let me grab this step, put it here. You can stand on it, and then you can jump.
Yes.
And it goes back to, like, those bumps that we sometimes get stuck on, and we think that that's it. And so I always tell the kids, I'm like, you can't do it yet. And I caught one of the kids saying this back to me last week, and it was an aha moment for me. And I was like, man, like, this is so cool, because it's not just about the workouts. I think there's a lot that you can learn. One of the things is you just discipline, resilience, humility. Those are the three things that I always come back to. Your body you might have some things that your body cannot do now. But that doesn't mean that you can push yourself a little bit more, or that you can't work towards that goal and reach that goal. And I always say, it doesn't end here. You can't do it yet. But if you keep working at it, you're going to get there,
Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. I'm done. I got nothing left. That was amazing. But, like, wow, that's so true. Oh, my God. I feel so motivated right now. And that's... I feel so on fire for, like, everything you're saying, and it's so true. And I love where your mindset is, and, like, that you not only teach adults who are maybe starting over, but you're teaching these kids, like, this isn't the period at the end of the sentence.
Right.
This is your yet. Yeah. This is the moment where you go, what's next?
Fitness has a lot. It can teach you a lot, for sure.
Well, yeah. No, gosh. I do hear... Titus come home and saying the yet. He was working on tying his shoes the other day, and he said, I'm not good at this yet. And I was like, yeah. But I didn't know they got that from you. I was just like, oh, I must be a really good parent.
I love that.
This is why we need a village, you guys.
I love that. I love that he's incorporating it, and that's the point, right? Like, them recognizing that, all of us recognizing that, and how do we incorporate this into the rest of our lives?
But yes, and what a gift that they're learning it so early. Because how many of us are like, I can talk only for myself in this moment, but I'm starting in my mid-30s going, okay, how do I say yet for me? You know, that's the whole point of why we started this podcast. There was a moment where I go, okay, is this my period at the end of the sentence? Or what do we do?
Right.
And like, God, just the fact that you're instilling it so young with these kids, it's just a gift.
Well, and I have to say, like, I have loved also just, you know, like, watching you doing this too, because like, it's for me, like, it has been really cool because I can see, you know, that obviously something was bubbling up at one point, and you found what that next thing needed to be, and here you are. You know, and I think sometimes we don't, I mean, I didn't listen to that little voice for a long time, right, that said Jim in my head. I really thought it was nothing, and I kept ignoring it. So I think you just have to trust. You have to trust the plan. You have to be flexible. And you have to be very in tune with yourself and trust the process.
Whew, and that's easier said than done.
Yeah, so it is. Absolutely. It is easier said than done.
But it's saying something that you've done it. Mm-hmm. And you're doing it. And I know it's not ever done.
Right. I remember at the very beginning, I had those moments where I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is not what I'm needing to do right now. Yeah. You know, maybe this is, you know, you dip your toe and then you're like, oh, no, it's too cold. Never mind. Or it's too hot. Never mind. But it's in those moments when you need to trust yourself the most and push yourself a little bit more. Push past your limits.
No limits. How has your own definition of success changed since you started? Is it about the numbers? Is it about watching your members hit their goals? Or is it something you didn't expect?
I think that, you know, when you're focused on the business side of it, you can get very caught up in the numbers and, you know, what do we need to do? What's the next thing? And growth and spreadsheets and, you know, all of that.
The businessy stuff.
Yes, the business side of it. It's very easy to get caught up on that because obviously you got to keep the place running, right? But at the same time, I think for me, while yes, the business side of it is important, I think for me, I see success when I have a client that tells me, man, I remember when I first walked into this place and I couldn't even do a push-up. You know?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, just now when you told me, like, I see the difference it has made in my child. I see it on the days when he's not there, and I see it on the days, you know, when he has been there, and you see those differences. I think it's in those little moments and those little stories that people share. That's when I see success. When I know that impact has been made. Because, again, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, for me, for us, for G&I, is not just about the numbers. It's about the impact that we're making.
It seems like, I know you're so lucky to have your community, but it seems like your community is really lucky to have you. You and G, you know, because I know that's your heart behind that, is you really care about the people who show up. And the people who don't show up, the people who are a part of that group, you know?
Right.
You really care.
I that's our hope, you know, that they feel that.
I agree. And well, and just kind of backtracking to what you said in the beginning, like one of the reasons this whole thing started is because you're like, I want to be a part of helping people in the community feel involved and included. Like it just, you know, this whole thing stemmed from your goal of inclusion and giving. And I think it's cool that you've been able to build a successful business as well as having the heart and doing the things that you and G do. And you and G and your children do. You guys often post that discipline beats motivation. When you're personally not feeling it, like when you're like, I don't, because, you know, we're human beings.
Happens. Yeah.
What is the Genesis plug of your own daily discipline? Like, what is that start over moment where you're like, okay, I need to focus on my discipline? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. I think it's, I think it goes back to the responsibility, right? Not only the responsibility that I have as a mother, as a wife, but also the responsibility that I have with my clients. I can't expect them, like I want them to show up and I want them to be consistent and I want them to have that discipline, But if I'm not showing that myself,
Ooh, that's a good point.
it's kind of like your kids. Like you can't
was just thinking that.
Yeah, you can't expect your kids to do XYZ when you're modeling ABC.
Right. Right.
You know? And even with our kids, and G is really big on this, and I think it's something that I've learned from him, because sometimes it is easy to say, you know what, I'm tired, I'm just not going to go today. Yeah. And yes, by all means, I think sometimes it's important to listen to your body, right? Like sometimes your body just can't anymore, and you do have to take a break, and that's okay.
I love you for saying that. Mm-hmm. That's so great.
Mm-hmm. But also, I think that recognizing, okay, this is my body saying, this is what I need right now, and then this is my mind trying to talk me out of.
Right. Is this a limit we have to push behind?
Exactly.
There's a plug for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Is this my mind telling me I can't do this, and then you believe that, right? And I think that motivation is not always going to be there, and I think that that's something for us that we have learned through Aeon. If you haven't heard about them, you should check them out as well. But that's our jiu-jitsu community. We have learned that some days you're not going to feel like doing it. Knowing that you are going to have days where you're going to get frustrated because you can't, hit that PR, or you're going to be so tired because of whatever, might be happening in your life. Motivation is not always going to be there, and you cannot rely on that. But it's that discipline. It's that discipline and that resilience that gets you to that next step.
Oh, that's so good. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever really thought about it like that before. Mm-hmm. How the motivation could be fleeting, depending on the day or the moment or whatever. But that's so true. Snippet. I receive that right now, because I'm like, I needed to hear that. That's so true. I feel like I know the answer to this, just based on all of the conversation we've had about you being a part of an amazing marriage and team. But who is that person in your life that first taught you, or maybe not that first taught you, but continues to teach you that there truly are no limits to what you can achieve? Maybe at least I can think of one of them. I don't know everybody in your life.
Hold on. Because you just started my heart with this one. I think I would say there are two male figures, in this. One, I would say maybe being my dad, and the other one being G. Cut this part. The part where I get emotional.
No, we love it.
I was always encouraged to be independent. I would say more so during maybe my adolescent years and my teenage years. And then in my 20s, I was like, okay, I have had to learn how to pull my own weight and push past those limits and keep going, So I would say because of those years, I am where I am. But I think I grew up, gosh, how can I say this? I almost grew up I was forced to not ask for help and just figure it out, But at the same time, I would not be who I am and where I am today if it wasn't for those things. And then my husband, he is, this man, like you tell him something, he is determined. He is the person. If you need someone to push you, he is the person. Like he is the person to do that for you. He will sometimes push me past limits that I thought I couldn't push past, them. And he has been a huge, I think for me, he has been a big part of that piece of my life and growth, really being that person that says, hey, you can do this. And what's the worst that could happen? Ooh. It doesn't work out.
Yes. And he's like, and then we there with you to pick up the pieces.
And then we'll figure it out. Yeah. And that's his biggest thing, right? It's like, okay, well, if it doesn't work, then we'll figure it out then. And so I think for me, like, now he's that person, right? And they say that you become who you surround yourself with. And I have definitely, become that, being around him and being around that energy, and him being the one that always says, no, like, we gotta keep going. So I would say that's part of where that comes from. If that
No, totally. I'm like, I'm getting emotional listening to it. I just think it's lovely the way you have taken just the different points in your life, and you can look back on it. It's so self-aware, by the way, which I love. And like see like, okay, growth moment. And now you have a partner who pushes you and stands next to you and helps you reach for all of y'all's joined goals and your goals together. And I think that that's beautiful that you have that. Once you and your husband achieved the dream of opening your own gym, when you pushed past those fear limits, did you find yourself immediately looking for the next mountain, or are you still enjoying the view from the mountain you're on right now? There's no wrong answer.
Yeah. I think we, both of us are very, it might sound bad, but it's not a bad thing, I promise. We're very, all right, what's the next thing? Like what are we doing, right? Like,
you're very motivated people too. You're
yes.
like, we need some goals here, baby.
We're always looking at the horizon, right? But at the same time, I think we both take moments to just sit and enjoy the view in the moment. And I think for me, that's something that has been, even in my own personal life, has been hard to do. Like, I'm always moving. I'm always, I'm trying to maximize my time. If I have 30 minutes, what am I going to do with these 30 minutes? Right. Whether it's at home, like, okay, I need to wash the dishes. Well, I have 30 minutes. I'm going to do that, So it's easy to get caught up in the what do we need to do next and not sit back and enjoy the view. And I think that is something that I'm learning to do, even in my own life. Yes, we got to keep moving. Yes, we have to have goals, but also there has to be gratitude in the midst of it all.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And that's so good that you are constantly finding that balance in like what's next, because I think that that's beautiful to be able to build, but to also stop and proverbially smell the roses and, be like, look what we've done. Because you've done it.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. What is the most unglamorous or hilarious thing that has happened behind the scenes of being a gym owner that people probably wouldn't guess from watching y'all's like high-paced Instagram where people are like working out? Like what are some hijinks? And because knowing you guys and knowing some of the people who work out, like I know there's some stories.
Let me think of one that I can share.
That's fair. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
This is more of a personal one, I guess, but, when you think of business owners, right? Like you think of, or I guess people might think, you're walking into this place, and I often find myself, vacuuming the floors, cleaning the floors, wiping down machines. Like there's no more toilet paper in the bathroom. There's no paper towels,
Yeah, the dirty work.
The dirty work.
Yeah.
The work that, the invisible work.
Ooh.
the one that once the toilet paper is not replaced, that's when it will be noticed, right?
Right.
Because you need to get paper towels, and you get, and right, like there are other ways that we can, obviously do these things. Yes, we do have someone that, cleans the gym and stuff like that, but I don't just rely on that. Like I want this place to stay clean for our clients. I want them to walk into a place, that is nice and clean and in order all the time.
Yeah.
One of my biggest pet peeves is walking into a bathroom, a public bathroom, and there not being any soap or paper towels.
Yeah, that's a reasonable pet peeve. How do we wash? How do we dry?
I know.
What do you want us to do?
I'm pretty big on making sure that all of that is stocked up and the bathrooms are clean, and and so yeah, there is some dirty work that has to happen sometimes, but at the end of the day, this is my baby.
Yeah.
If I would do some hard work, or if I did some hard work at my previous, places of employment, why wouldn't I do it for myself, for the place that I built, to create a place where people can walk in and say, man, this place is always clean.
They have soap, and paper towels.
And paper towels.
You heard it here first. That's so fair. And I love that. And I love that your heart is there for those little details that make a difference in people's day when they're there. And I love that you guys always like go the extra mile. It's like, I just think about the Christmas workout where G was dressed as the Grinch. And I know it was hot in that costume. Hot. And he committed. And in between, I think in between cool videos and pictures, in between I could see him take a breath and stuff because it was hot in there. But it's just like the level of commitment you bring, whether it's making sure everything's clean and stocked or making sure everyone's having fun. It's just cool. So you've built a powerhouse in Richmond. What is the big audacious goal for No Limits Fitness? Like what does the next 3 to 5 years look like? And if you don't have an answer for that, or if you're like, we're ideas in right now, that's cool. But I'm just curious as someone who's already watched how amazing you guys are.
For us, for me, I would say I really truly, when it comes to growth, I also think about, what do I want this to look like? So yes, numbers and all of that, business side is important. But I want this to be more of a movement. I think when this has been so powerful to me, like seeing an entire family, both like two different spectrums, right? A family with littles that works out at our gym, but also seeing an older couple and their grown kids coming in as well and working out.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a really cool thing. And that's when you realize, man, this is more than just a gym. This is more than just a workout. It really, truly is a movement. And continuing to grow that to where we are able to take this out into the community. I mean, like that family night, that we did at one of the schools, like bringing the whole family in and saying, hey, like fitness is important. Physical activity is important, not just within our walls, but also how can we take this and make an impact outside of our, gym walls. Yeah. Because I think you can do that.
Yeah, well, you guys are examples of that. Well, and it shows too, not only do you guys do a great job of partnering with other business, but y'all are so great at like spotlighting your members and growing, helping them to grow. And like, hey, maybe you didn't know this, but like, so it just shows like, not only are, like you said, growing it inside the walls, but outside too. You want everyone to be successful in and out of the gym, and what you guys are doing for the community, like you guys are just going to keep being huge. Like, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. Karen, we've talked about the sweat, the business, and the no limits mindset. But at the end of the day, when the gym lights are off and the house is quiet, what is one thing you've discovered about yourself that you finally truly love, that had nothing to do with what you've built, but has everything to do with who you've become through this process?
I think that something that I often, remind myself of, just like now looking back and realizing, man, there were so many limitations that I was believing, that my head was telling me, that I was truly believing that could have stopped us from being where we are now. Really just how big and how important it has been to just take the steps. You may not know, what's going to happen on the other side. Here's one thing that I always say, and I've always held on to this. If there is something that you want to do, time is going to pass whether you act on it or you don't. And so at the end of, 3-5 years down the line, right? Where do you want to be? Do you want to, again, still, let that fear stop you? Or do you want to let go of that fear and just try it out and see what happens? Hey, it actually may end up being even better than you imagined, which I think for me, that's what this has been. What started off as an idea of providing adaptive fitness, it grew into, what it is now. And quite honestly, it has been bigger than anything I ever imagined. I was not sure about this and there was fear, but I did it and look at what happened, right? And it's far beyond anything that I ever imagined. So,
wow.
I don't know. I know.
I love how you like drop all these truth bombs.
That's very mushy, but
I don't know. You're like truth bomb, but I don't know.
I know that's probably a lot.
No, it was. I actually was getting a little emotional just thinking about that because it's absolutely true. And wherever you're at in your life, I feel like that is the advice you should take. And I love that you are there and you're someone who stops and listens to that and looks back and goes like, this is because I took the chance. And I'm going to keep taking these chances. And that's beautiful. I love that you joined me today.
Thank you.
I think the world of you already. But just getting to learn more about you today and just hear more about your tenacity and your heart for people and your love for your community that you've both are creating and that you have at home. It's just beautiful. And I feel very grateful that I got to share just a little piece of your journey. And I know personally I was inspired today. And I know that so many of our listeners will be inspired too. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me here today.
Oh, you're a gift.
That's all I got.
You're a gift. Before we wrap up, can you let everyone know like where they can follow you guys, where they can find you? You know, like
sure.
How can they become members of your gym? Because you know everyone wants to after this.
Absolutely. So No Limits Fitness HTX on Instagram, but also our website is nolimitsfitnesshtx.com. So yeah,
you deserve
come
it.
And see us.
Yes, you were amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, you guys.
Thank you.
Wonderful, amazing. Yay!
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're amazing. Yay!